Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Jays with Down podcast. I'm your host Jade, and today we're going to be talking about the Buffalo Bills and why they are very concerning. And I am going to just talk about what I think this how they're going to be in some trouble going into this off season, or rather, they knew that they had to do something to figure out how to beat Kansas City because Kansas City has been their roadblock for the last couple of years now. And so for the Bills' sake, can they get over the hump? Can they figure out something? And they trade Stephon Diggs to the Texans. So we'll talk about that and more. But make sure you all subscribe to the channel. Check us out here on Jay's Fit Down Pod. You can find us on all the audio podcast platforms as well. We're there. So just make sure you check us out. Follow us on socials, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, Jay's Fit Down Pod. So like I said, before I start, make sure you guys also check out my new book, Connected. It is on Amazon, available to purchase ebook and paperback version. So I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can go check that out for me. I would really appreciate the support. Like I said, now so going into 2024, the Bills are in a situation right now where you trade away your star receiver to the Texans. They really have no number one option. Gabe Davis left; he's in Jacksonville right now. So your real receivers right now are Khalil Shakir, um, Curtis Samuel, who they signed in the offseason, and Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. I mean, and James Cook. Because the two tight ends are really your better receiving options than your actual receivers. But so for the Bills' sake, it's like, what do they do? Do they go and draft one receiver like a guy like there's a Donnie Mitchell and Xavier Ward and all those guys like that are in this draft that they could realistically fall to Buffalo at 28, or now this might sound a little crazy, but do the Bills trade up? Last time a team really was aggressive in the draft, wanted to get a receiver, was the Atlanta in 2011. They traded their 27th pick. Um, they traded up to get the sixth pick to take Julio Jones. And frankly, the wide receiver class that year after Jones wasn't all that good. Um, yeah, it really wasn't all that good. So that was the move that they made. But so do we see the Bills making something similar to that? I mean, I think they're at a point right now where um, because the way it works in the NFL is like you draft a quarterback. And on his rookie contract, and I mentioned this a bunch of times, on a quarterback on his rookie contract, that's the prime. Those are the prime few years for you to make a run in the Super Bowl, to get players around him, to build a roster that is going to elevate you, to get you to the playoffs, get you to a Super Bowl, and that's the formula that a lot of teams try to follow. Now, whether they do it successfully or not, I can't. That's few and far in between. Look at the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, right? I think he's really the only quarterback, one of few quarterbacks rather, that is won a Super Bowl on his rookie contract. And so that's hard to do. But teams do that. They build their teams that way, so that is the goal. That way they're not having to break bank, on other good players when they have to pay their quarterback too, or they have to pay their receiver or whatever. So Buffalo, you drafted Josh Allen in 2018. In 2019, they went to the wild card, played the Texans, right? Lost. And then the year after that, they go and trade for Stephon Diggs. So they say, hey, we need to get a number one guy in here that can, number one receiver that can help out Josh Allen. So they go and get Stephon Diggs from the Vikings. Then they would go and make the playoffs the next 4 years. But unfortunately, they've lost in the playoffs every single year they've won, and those have all been to the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, so it's unfortunate. It is very unfortunate, but I think for Buffalo right now, you have to think about what can you do to get this roster to in that top shape to compete with the Chiefs? Because right now, I mean, they're really the only things seem like Buffalo could beat Cincinnati. They could beat Baltimore, realistically speaking, but it seems for some reason like when it comes down to the postseason, they cannot get past the Chiefs. Something is yeah, we can say it's Patrick Mahomes, but it's also the Chiefs have really good defense. They've just built their roster incredibly well. The Bills, on the other hand, not so much. They went and got Von Miller that year, a couple years ago. Signed to that big contract, and he played good until he stopped playing. He got hurt, and so now it's like we're paying him, but then it's like he's not playing. And this is a 36-year-old guy. that you're paying this money to, and he's not out there on the field, and that's hurting production of the team. So, and then drafting guys like Kyrie Elam, it's like, so for me, it's like front office wise, the Bills just haven't made the best decisions surrounding Josh Allen with great players. Um, Other than Stephon Diggs, and I mean Gabe Davis was good, but he had dropped off toward the end of the year last year and wasn't really making that. He wasn't really producing that much. So I think right now, uh, what the Bills need to do is this. You really need to reset your roster right now. This is where you're at. This is the best thing. This is the best option for them. Like I don't think this continue. Oh, especially now after Stephon Diggs is gone. It's like, what do you do now? Theoretically you could select a receiver in the draft, which is what they're most likely going to do. There's no options out there on the market as far as receivers are concerned, unless you want to go trade for a guy like Brandon Ayuk. But we don't know about that. T. Higgins doesn't look like he's going to get traded anytime soon. Cincinnati signed him to the franchise tag. So I think right now for Buffalo, the best case scenario for them is draft a receiver in the draft, and then continue to build the holes on your defense. You need to continue. You need to build. You need to get you a safety after the departure of Jordan Poyer, and you got to get you got to build that defense up correctly. In interior wise, you need some defensive interior presence on the defensive line. So more pass rushing. Hopefully, when they get Von Miller back, that'll help out. But it's at the same time, it's like, and you can't see the thing with Von Miller is with a guy like that. No team is going to trade for him because he's a 36-year-old pass rusher that hasn't played in meaningful football in a while, and he's got a hefty contract on him. So it's like you can't really trade him. So you just kind of hope he just plays, and they restructured his contract so it's not so horrible. The cap hit they're eating up, but I do think that the Bills are in a situation right now where they're in trouble. And if they want any chance at winning anything, they're going to have to build a roster that can beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That's just the end of the day scenario. Like now, we thought they did build that type of team. We thought they built that roster, but they haven't. And so far it hasn't worked. It's in, at least when it matters in the playoffs. So I think best case scenario for them is just treat this upcoming season, 2024. I mean, you're not going to compete. For playoffs wise, I don't believe so. I mean, they're going to win games. They'll make the playoffs, but they're not going to go far. I'm not going to even give them the divisional round. I don't think they even make it that far. I think they might be a wild card team, and then draft well this year. Off season wise, they did all right this off season, but and then go into next off season and build your team up correctly. Get those guys in there that you need to plug those holes on your defense. Offensively, offensive line, maybe right tackles position I would look into if I were them. But I just don't know what else they could do other than that. I mean, like Bills fans I know have to be going through it right now because they just going through like 4 years of just like get into the playoffs, have a great season. Josh Allen has this incredible year and he's doing all this magical stuff and running people over, and then you get into the playoffs and it's like you just run into the buzzsaw of the Chiefs. It's like, what can you do? So the only thing they can do, like I said, is just to build their roster to where it can competitively match it, where it can beat the Chiefs. Not match them, you need to beat them and beat them convincingly. Because the way Patrick Mahomes is rolling right now, he may win. He may catch up to Brady within the next couple of years. I mean, he's at 3 right now, 4. It's crazy to say, but it's like, is that even out the question for Patrick Mahomes? I mean, who is going to beat the Chiefs like that? I'm waiting to see right now. Is there going to be a team that emerges to beat the Kansas City? And I will say this: the Houston Texans have a very good chance of being one of those teams. The way they've built their roster. But I do think that the Bills, however, just aren't that team. People thought they were going to be the AFC challenger to the Chiefs, and they just haven't been that the last 4 years. Been quite the opposite, actually. So that's just my deal, man. I think Buffalo definitely needs to work on their roster for sure, getting that team together so they can beat Kansas City. That's the only way they're going to make a Super Bowl. They can make the playoffs, make the AC Championship game, the division, wherever. They just can't get past the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. You got to figure out a way to do it. You got to figure out a way to do it. They have to get a receiver in the draft. Trading them to get Marvin Harrison, I mean, it's crazy, but like I mentioned earlier, we've seen teams do it. Like we've seen teams go up and get for example, Atlanta back in 11, they went up and traded for Julio Jones at 6. They traded a couple of they traded their 27th draft pick and a couple other round draft picks to go select a guy like him. And the difference though is this receiver class is very deep, unlike that one. So they don't have to go and make a big crazy trade like that. But I definitely think, regardless, they need to get a receiver in this year's draft, because if they don't do that, and you roll out there next year with Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel and Dawson, like that's not going to get it done for sure. That's not going to get it done. So you um, yeah, and you signed Josh Allen to a contract, and now it's like, okay, we got our quarterback on our they had the prime years, like I mentioned, on a rookie contract for a quarterback. Like it's when those 4 years, usually 4 years, are the time you go and build your team so you can go win. Because you're not having to pay this guy that much, so it's like you can, like what the Houston Texans are doing right now with C.J. Stroud, perfect example. What they're doing right now, bringing in these pieces, bringing in Stephon Diggs, bringing in Dalton Schultz, defensively, bringing in these guys like Daniel Hunter. Like they're building a great team, great units on both sides of the football around their star quarterback, and he's just wrapped up his rookie year. So that's the blueprint. That's how you want to do it. The Bills haven't been able to successfully do that to the point where it's getting them far where they want to be in the playoffs. So that's just my opinion on the whole thing. But I believe that they definitely can beat the Chiefs if they just get the team to do it. There's only 15s back there, though. It's just going to be hard. It's going to be hard to do it. So I definitely think they can do it. But it's just going to come down to how they assemble their roster, and losing players in free agency didn't help. Jordan Poyer and Leonard Floyd. I mean, they lost these guys. Some of them were cuts. So it's just a matter of, it's just the business, how it works. But the only way they're going to beat the Chiefs is if they're just flat out better than them, talent-wise across the board. I mean, the better coaching has to come into play also. But like at the end of the day, the players go out there and they make the plays. They go and play the game. And so if your players are not better than the other teams, then most likely you're not going to win the ball game. That's just how it goes in all sports, but especially in the Buffalo Bills case. So that's just what I want to talk about on the podcast today, guys. Can the Bills go over the hump? What do you guys think? Do you think that they'll ever win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen? Will they ever get there? Or will the Chiefs continue to run the AFC for the foreseeable future? So let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. And make sure, again, you check out my book, Connected. It's available for purchase on Amazon, ebook version or paperback. Check it out. I would appreciate the support. We'll see you next time on Jay's Fifth Down.